Sir, you can start.
Okay, all right. Welcome, friends. Uh, Today we will be concerned with Block 4. Block 3 might have been covered. And in Block 4, again, we have 6 units. First, the author, works and title. Second, narrative voice. Third, feminism. Four, Percy identity. Fifth, a novel of partition. Six, post-colonial age. These are the 6 units that we have to cover in block 4. And today in block 4, we have a novel written by Bapsi Sidhwa. Bapsi Sidhwa. Bapsi Sidhwa is an American-based Pakistani novelist, a feminist of moderate type. She was not an extreme feminist, but a feminist of moderate type. She had spent most of her career in America because America attracted her as a professional hub, whereas Pakistan attracted her as the primary and vast resources for her literary output. Okay, she was born in Karachi in the year 1938. Initially, she was a social activist, working most of her time for the betterment of the destitute and the poor women. But later on, she suffered from boredom and took to writing. As she was or she is a housewife, she is not a professional lady. She has enough time at her hand to utilize, and she utilizes her time. She equally divides her time into social work and creative activity. This novelist, Bapsi Sidhwa, has written a number of writings, a number of columns in different magazines, but she has written 4 important novels for which she is famous across the globe. Her first novel, The Crow Eaters, was published in the year 1978. The second one, The Bride, in the year 1983. Third novel, Ice Candy Man, in the year 1988. And her fourth and most popular novel was An American Brat, in the year 1994. So this is a short idea about the writer's biography. Now, our point of discussion is her third novel, that is Ice Candy Man, published in the year 1988. This novel was first published in 1988 in London. At that time, it was published with the name Ice Candy Man. Again, this novel was published in the year 1991 in America. That time, Sidhwa thought of changing the title and she gave a new title and it was Cracking India. Sidhwa thought that the old name Ice Candy Man may be a derogatory term for the Americans. This is why she changed the name and she gave the name Cracking India. Before we make a discussion on different aspects of this novel, it is essential that we know the summary of the novel, the story of the novel. So before I tell anything about the story, let me clarify two or three points. Point number one, what is the subject matter of this novel? The subject matter of this novel is partition and the aftermaths of partition. That this novel has been built up on the theme, on the subject of partition of India and its aftermath, its onslaughts. Second important thing about this novel that I would like to clarify is that who tells the story in the novel. In every writing, in every novel, there is a narrator, there is somebody who narrates the story. And here in this novel, the narrator of the story is an 8 years old girl. And third important point will be that why does the writer choose an 8 years old girl to be the narrator of the novel? Okay, now let me summarize it for your better understanding. That the novel has been written against the backdrop of Lahore, India, Lahore, Pakistan. Try to understand the term. Lahore, India, Lahore, Pakistan. That before partition, Lahore was in India, and the beginning of this novel owes to Lahore, India. Then Indian subcontinent faces the crisis of partition. Then Lahore went under the subjugation of Pakistan, and that was called Lahore, Pakistan. So Lahore, India, and Lahore, Pakistan is the or are the backdrop or backdrops of this novel. When the novel begins, we are introduced with an 8 years old girl whose name is Lenny, 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 an 8 years old Parsi girl, a Persian girl. Lenny is living in the Waris Road in Lahore, Warris Road, Waris Road in Lahore. And the movement of this girl is very much confined. She is allowed to move between Waris Road and Jail Road. Beyond Waris Road and beyond Jail Road, she has never gone out. One day, Lenny was being carried in a pram, PRAM pram. Pram is a stroller, STROLL, a stroller, a push chair, which is meant for carrying the children or babies. One day, Lenny is being carried in a pram by her ayah, and the name of the ayah is Shanta. Shanta is carrying Lenny in a pram. At that time, an Englishman appears, and the Englishman wants to know why the girl is being carried in a pram. The Englishman asks Shanta to put down the baby from the pram. Then Shanta explains to the white man about the condition of Lenny, that Lenny is a polio stricken girl who is hardly able to stand. So this girl Lenny cannot stand properly. So wherever she goes, she is taken in a stroller. And this Aya Shanta is doing this work most of the day, that she looks after this girl from morning to evening. Then, when Shanta is carrying the girl in the pram on the road, Shanta has got the attention of a number of workers. That people are watching at Shanta. And Shanta is not surprised. But Lenny is surprised. Why are the people watching at this Aya? And the sole reason is that Shanta is extremely beautiful. She has an attractive physical look, and to this, the people who are walking by are attracted. Colonel Barucha, Barucha. Colonel Barucha is the family doctor of Lenny. As Lenny's father was a rich man, an educated man, he has appointed a doctor, the most prominent doctor of Lahore of that time, Colonel Barucha. And from time to time, Colonel Barucha operates on this girl, makes surgery on this girl to set right her physical defect. And whenever the girl is operated, she remains in the bed for 10 to 15 days after the operation. And after the operation, when the girl is in the bed, people come to visit her, especially the Persian people come because Lenny belongs to Persian community. So Parsis come to look the girl, and whenever Santa gets time, she comes. But Lenny says that Santa must be with her all the while. Anyway, after 15 days of operation, when Lenny is taken to a zoo in the pram by Shanta, there Lenny gets another experience. But she knows that Shanta has a number of admirers, number of fans. People come to the house of Lenny not to talk to Lenny's father, but to have a look at this beautiful woman Shanta the Aya. And there at the zoo, Lenny came to know that Shanta has a unique admirer, and that admirer was the ice candy man. Ice candy man is one of the admirers who are eager to look at Santa, to talk to her. And there at the zoo, Ice Candy Man suddenly arrives. And to be frank enough, Santa has a sort of weakness towards this Ice Candy Man. Ice Candy Man is not the name of any person. It is not a generic name. It is a professional name of a Muslim young man. Ice Candy Man is because this man sells ice candy on the road. So when winter sets in, people draw back their attention from ice candy. They do not take. So during the winter, this ice candy man postpones this business of selling ice candy. He adopts another business, that is catching birds and selling them on the Lahore streets. So he catches different birds and he sells them. And the Persian women who are financially very rich, they purchase all the birds from the ice candy man only to set them free. So they give money to the ice candy man, they take the birds from him, and they set the birds free. And when the birds go, again next day, ice candy man catches the same birds, bring to the streets, and let the people purchase them. So during winter, he sells birds. During summer, ice candy man sells ice candy. This girl, lady, does not go to any school for her education. As she is handicapped, as she is the daughter of a very rich man, she does not feel it necessary to go to any school for education. Rather, a tuition teacher has been appointed, Mrs. Penn, Pen, Penn. Mrs. Penn is engaged as the tuition teacher of Lenny. Sometimes Lenny goes to the house of the tuition teacher. and sometimes the reverse takes place. That is to say, tuition teacher comes to the house of Lenny to teach her. Anyway, one day Lenny comes to know that the scent of India is coming to Lahore. She wants to mean Gandhiji. That Gandhiji is coming to Lahore, and the girl is eager to have a look at Gandhiji. Gandhiji arrives, and Lenny is surprised to see the real Gandhi. That earlier she has framed an imaginary picture of Gandhiji in her mind. That Gandhiji might have been wearing very costly dresses, might have kept beard, he might have covered his body with costly attire, but on seeing Gandhiji almost naked, she is surprised. What type of man is he? He draws a conclusion about Gandhiji. She says that this man cannot be called a saint. He looks to be half clown and half demon. So this is the impression of Lenin towards Gandhiji, half clone and half demon. Uh, April comes and the business of ice candy man flourishes because of extremely hot climate in Lahore. People come out of their houses and they purchase ice candies from ice candy man. His business was on rise. Then all of a sudden, Lenny collects a news from the ice candy man that India is going to be broken. A very sentimental sentence used by the novelist. India is going to be broken. Then Lenny comes to know about the word Muslim League. She also comes to know about the name Muhammad Ali Jinnah. That Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the founding father of Muslim League, is pleading for a separate territory for the Muslim people. And the proposed name selected by Muslim League was Pakistan. The new proposed territory will be named as Pakistan. So it was clear in the mind of Lenin that India is going to be divided, is going to be broken, and the segregated part, the broken or the separated part of India will be called Pakistan, and Pakistan would be a Muslim territory. These are some information she collected. Uh, the time of partition comes, and the girl is watching everything minutely. She finds that the streets of Lahore are full of trucks, military trucks. Military trucks are moving from different streets of Lahore and they are going into the villages to collect the Muslim people to take them to a safe place. Then Lenny asks this question to Aya Santa, that Santa, where are the trucks carrying Muslim people to safe places? Is there anything going to happen? Santa cannot explain what is the reason of all these trucks going on the streets. She cannot know, so she cannot explain to the question put by Lenny. But the cook of her family, tells the girl Lenny that yes, a problem is going to occur. Riot is going to take place. There will be fight between Hindus and the Muslims, fight between the Sikhs and the Muslims. This is why the military trucks are carrying the Muslim people to safe places. But the Muslim people would not move. They say, no, no, we shall not move. We shall not evacuate our father's land. Once we evacuate this land and when we go to a new territory, we will lose everything. but the Muslim, but the military trucks force the people to board the trucks and move to safe places. Anyway, it was the voice of All India Radio that declared the complete partition between India and Pakistan, and it was the time of 1947. India suffered partition. Lahore became Lahore, Pakistan instead of Lahore, India, and the girl and her family remained in Lahore, Pakistan. Just after the partition, there is the riot. Communal riot breaks out. The Hindus fight against the Muslims and vice versa. The Muslims fight against the Sikhs and vice versa. But the Muslims and the Hindus who were friends to each other, to one another before the partition, have become enemy to each other, have become enemy to one another just after the partition. The girl just cannot understand this riddle. Why is this change? That few minutes back you were friends, after few minutes you have become enemy. This subtle, this idea of riot cannot enter into her mind. One day, a group of Muslims arrived at the house of Lenny and they asked if there are any Hindu employees working in the establishment of this family. And the Muslim people came to know that there was not any Hindu employee working in the family of Lenny. But Lenny says, no, 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 no. We have a Hindu woman. Shanta is a Hindu woman. She tells this thing to the angry mob of the Muslims. Then they want to know where is she? Then the cook says, no, sir, she has gone to Amritsar to her father's house for a short visit. At that time, the Candyman appears and she asks this girl, Lenny, can you please say where is Santa? Then Lenny said, Santa is in the kitchen. The angry mob of Muslims enter the kitchen of Lenny's house. They capture Santa and they carry away with Santa. Then Lenny becomes very sad that it is because of her truthfulness that Santa is being tortured. Santa is taken away by the Muslim people, and Ice Candy Man is very happy. Lenny asks Ice Candy Man, my dear Ice Candy Man, are not you loving Santa? Ice Candy Man says, yes, I love her. But everybody is controlled by situation, everybody is controlled by the present time. Present time demands that Santa should be handed over to the Muslims. And this is right, and that I have done. He explains to Lenny in a very wrong way. Uh, After Santa is kidnapped by the Muslims, she is sold. Santa has been sold, but the writer the writer has used a very capitalistic word to express this kidnapping and selling of Santa. She uses the word commodify. Commodify. Santa has been commodified. She has been sold to the pimps. Pimp. Pimp means the dalals of prostitute houses. That Santa is sold to the pimps at Hiramandi, a red light area in Lahore. That now Santa is in Hiramandi. She has been made a prostitute, preferably a dancer. After the departure of Shanta, Lenny becomes full of sorrow. Every moment of her life becomes a burden for her. She needs Shanta psychologically and physically, but Shanta is not with her. One day, while Lenny was strolling in the pram on the street, she sees Shanta being taken in a car. She comes back to her father and says that she has seen Shanta. Then he searches me. At that time, Shanta's godmother, whose name is Rodabai, Rodabai. Rodabai has come to the house of Santa, and Santa is telling to her father about her seeing Santa in a car. Then Rodabai tells to Santa, my dear child, don't worry. If you have seen Santa in any car in Lahore, it will not be difficult to trace her out and find her out. Uh, the day after, Rodabai again comes to the house of Santa and says, as I have known, Santa is in Hiramandi. She has married Iskandi man, and after her marriage, she has changed her name from Santa to Mamtaz. Now, Santa is Mamtaz, a prostitute house dancer. So, today I am going to Hiramandi. The godmother Rudabai says to Lenny, and Lenny says, yes, mother, please take me with you. I will go there. I want to see how Santa is living. So, accompanied by godmother, Lenny goes to the prostitute house where she finds Santa. Ice Candy Man is there. Having seen godmother and Lenny, Ice Candy Man is very happy. He utters verses of great Pakistani poets about love, and he says, let me fetch 2 or 3 cups of tea for you. In order to bring tea, as Ice Candy Man goes away, Santa says to Lenny and godmother that she doesn't like to stay here. This is a very bad place. She doesn't like to stay here. Rather, she wants to go back to Amritsar. Then godmother says, Rodabai says, don't worry, Santa. I am I am organizing a social association, and through the association I will approach to the police. Police will come and rescue you. And true to her words, she goes to the police station directly, says everything about Santa to the police officer. A team of policemen arrives at Hiramandi. The policemen rescue Santa, and Santa is taken to the recovered women's camp at Waris Road in Lahore. There Santa is kept. Having known this, the ice candy man rushes to the recovered women's camp, but there at the entry of the gate there was a sentry, a Sikh sentry, SIKH. Seeing a Muslim boy, the sixth sentry started beating Ice Candyman mercilessly. He beat Ice Candyman so much that Ice Candyman fell there unconscious. After recovering his sense, Ice Candyman comes back to Hiramandi and he makes up his mind to be a fakir. So Ice Candyman becomes a fakir. After a few days, Santa is taken to Amritsar, and Ice Candyman is able to cross the Wagha border to arrive at Amritsar. At Amritsar, he tries to meet Santa but is unable to meet. Out of frustration of love, he sings several love songs. So this is the summary of the novel. The novel ends on a very pathetic note. Now, let us come to the title of the novel. Why has the title been given Ice Candy Man? Ice Candy Man is the name of a professional man who sells ice candy. Ice candy is not any generic name of an individual, rather it is the professional name of an individual. So why has Sidwa selected the term ice candy man for her popular novel? So ice is something which is not consistent. Ice is inconsistent by nature. I mean to say that ice often changes its state, state, a word of chemistry, avastha, physical condition. That at the at the temperature, ice becomes liquid. At minus temperature, water becomes ice. So this is why ice is inconsistent. It changes by nature. And Sidva means that ice candy represents the politicians who are inconsistent by nature. We have never seen a politician who is true to his words. As ice changes its position, its state, politicians often change their position, change their status, change their words and mindset to garner benefit from a given situation. So, in this novel, with the help of the word ice candy man, Sidhwa has been able to make a mockery of the politicians of both India and Pakistan. In the novel, we'll see that even Gandhiji, Nehru, Subhash Bose, and Muhammad Ali Jinnah have not been spared. They have been severely mocked by the girl Lenny in the novel. We praise, we worship Gandhiji and all the freedom fighters, but Sidhwa has made a mockery of these people. So, first point of the title is that as ice is inconsistent, so are the politicians. Second characteristic of ice is that it is cold. Ice is indifferent. Are so the politicians. Politicians are never concerned with the common interest of the ordinary people. Common mass are always victimized by the politicians in order to get their selfish motives. The politicians utilize the power of the common men, but when the common men are in trouble, politicians never come to their help. They only manipulate the troubled situation of the common man and get a mileage, get a publicity. So, like the ice, the politicians are cold or indifferent to the interest of the common man. And this has happened in this novel, which is a novel of partition. When the effects, the aftermaths of partition break out on the common people of Pakistan and India, the politicians just turn back, they withdraw themselves, letting the people grovel under acute struggle. Third point of the title, Ice Candy Man, is that Ice Candy Man, the man himself, that means the lover of Santa, the husband of Santa, Ice Candy Man represents the fickle mindedness of the politicians. Politicians are fickle minded by nature. They never stick to their ideology. If a politician sticks to his ideology, he will be treated as God. But as politicians change their ideology frequently, they are called demons. And in the novel, Ice-candy man changes his position. When it is the season of summer, ice candy man sells ice candy. This is one identity. When winter sets in and when people turn apathetic towards ice candy, in the winter, ice candy man becomes a birdman selling, catching birds and selling them on the streets of Lahore. This is another identity. When Shanta is taken to Hiramandi, the prostitute house, there ice candy man works as a pimp, as a dalal. This is his third identity. Towards the end of the novel, Ice Candy Man becomes a fakir, reciting the verbs written by the great Pakistani poets. So, in the novel, Ice Candy Man changes from one position to another position. In this way, he assumes four identities in the novel. So Ice Candy Man represents the politicians who always change their identity to get their own service motives fulfilled. So this is about the title. Come to the second unit. That is the narrative voice. The narrator in the novel Ice Candy Man. That Bapsi Sidhwa had selected a girl of 8 years old to be the narrator. In every novel, every such story, you will find that somebody is narrating the story. The writer does not narrate the story. The work of the writer is to write the story. But somebody is there in the story world who narrates the story. So in this novel, Bapsi Sidhwa does not narrate the story. Rather, she has appointed a character, appointed a girl of 8 years to narrate the story. So, whatever we hear about the story in the novel, we hear from this girl. This girl uses the word I to narrate the story because the girl, Lenny herself, is a character. She is a character. As a character, she participates in the story, and as a narrator, she hardly participates in the story. Rather, she watches, observes, listens, and hears the happenings. So, Sidhwa has selected a, an 8 years old child, and that child is a girl, and that too, that girl child is a handicapped girl child. Now, when we go through the novel, this thing strikes our mind. Why has Sidhwa chosen a girl of 8 years, a handicapped girl, to be the narrator? And by choosing Lenny as the narrator, Sidhwa has achieved a number of targets. The first target of Sidhwa is to present the feelings of underprivileged people of partition Pakistan and partition India in a very graphic manner. That in the novel, Sidhwa narrates the story of the poor people. She doesn't narrate the story of the Persian people who are rich, who are educated, and who are wealthy. Rather, she narrates the problems of the women, problems of the underprivileged section of the society. And in order to express their sentiment, Sidhwa has chosen a little girl as the narrator. Second target of Sidhwa for choosing a girl as the narrator is to explore into the hidden things that lay in the recess of mind of the characters, that physically or outwardly we are one, inwardly we are another. We have two identity. Every human being has two identity. We are outwardly a different character, and inwardly there is something different in our personality. This is why there is no conformity between what we say and what we do. And this is happening with the characters housed in this novel. And in order to explore into the mental recess of the characters, a girl has been adopted as the narrator because children are called the best questionnaire. They put very witty, logical, and pertinent questions whenever they have doubt. They bring out their doubts immediately. They do not hesitate as the adults. Adults sometimes hesitate to query their doubts, but children never hesitate. Whenever they have doubt, they bring it out with their words. And throughout the novel, Lenny is putting questions to different people. Whenever she meets Santa, whenever she meets the cook, whenever she meets her mother, she puts a number of questions. What is this? What is that? Why is this people not coming? Why is that people running? So many questions. Because she wants to know what is the reason behind everything. And by choosing a girl to be the narrator, Sidwa is trying to bring out the internal mindset of the characters. Third important target of Sidwa is to make a vivid sketch of socio-political scenario of Lahore, Pakistan. That what happens to Lahore in particular and Pakistan in general just after the partition. That a series of changes takes place after the partition, and Sidwa has observed all the changes very minutely, but she does not incorporate all the changes directly in her novel. Rather, she appoints a little girl to hint at all the changes, that changes like post colonial politics in Pakistan, that what happens to Muhammad Ali Jinnah after the partition? Was Muhammad Ali Jinnah satisfied with the division? Did Pakistan adopt a fine and suitable foreign policy? Did Pakistan have suitable domestic policies? So everything has been hinted by the girl. Fourth important target of the writer was to give an autobiographical touch to the novel. To be very clear, uh, Sidwa was also a polio stricken girl when she was 3 years old. Sidwa had been attacked with polio. For many days, she had to limp, and by choosing a limping girl, by choosing a polio stricken girl to be the narrator, she wants to uh, put the touch of autobiography in her novel. The fifth and the last target of Sidhwa was to give a feministic edge to the novel. Please remember the word feministic edge, Feministic, feministic edge to the novel. The girl represents feminism in the novel. So by choosing the girl, these are the things which Sidhwa has achieved in her novel. Another important thing is that the whole of the story has been written in present tense. Very remarkable thing about this novel, that usually a novel narrates a story, and story is the best when it is narrated only in past tense. But Sidhwa renders the story in present tense. Whatever Lenny says, she says in present tense. And why? Because Sidhwa wants to give a sense of immediacy to the story. That when we read when we browse through the lines of the story in the novel, we will see that as if everything is happening just before our eyes. Uh, a cricket commentary, a football commentary appeals us. Why? Because the commentator renders everything live to us. He sees and he sees. So whatever we listen directly from the mouth of commentator and we listen the live things. Such a feeling is there. There is a live telecast feel is there in the novel. By using present tense, he achieves these two important things, that is, to render a sense of immediacy and to give a live telecast feel to the story. Come to the third unit, feminism. Feministic touch in the novel Ice Candy Man. So before we go into the feministic color of the novel, I think it will be better to have a word or two on what feminism is. Feminism is, or better to say was, feminism was a political movement that uh, rose into eminence in 1960s. In this decade, 1960s, a group of educated and living British women came forward holding strikes on the roads of London and claiming their separate identity from the males, males. These women who were spirited, they opposed the traditional ideologies imposed upon the women, that women are physically weak, that women are mentally defective, that women are passive, that they are not active, that women are always subordinate to men. These were some traditional impositions made upon women. And the British women of 1960s, they opposed this. They told no, women are not what they are supposed to be. Rather, they are what the male cannot dream of. Women are as active as men. Women cannot be subordinate to men. We cannot say man woman, rather we have to say woman men. Mark the distinction between man woman, woman men. When we say man woman, we give priority to the first part, that is man, and we neglect the second part. But when we say woman men, we give importance on the first part. So these women say we should not say men women, rather you should say women men, because women are now more powerful both mentally and psychologically than men. So they blew against the established conventional patriarchy of the society. Mark the word patriarchy, male domination. So going against the patriarchy and claiming the right of equality with men are the characteristics of feminism. And this feminism grew in Europe in 1960s, and later on it seeped into India. So many of the Indian novelists have represented feminism in their novel, and this novel is also representing some elements of feminism in it. Now come to the novel Ice Candy Man. What are the feministic characteristics of the novel? That in the novel we have three important characters. One is Shanta. We may say the heroine of the novel. We may say, I do not say we can say. We may say her to be the heroine of the novel, Shanta. The other female character is Lenny. Lenny is both the narrator and a character in the novel. And third character is godmother, Rhoda Bai. These are the three dominating characters, and the male characters are not dominating by nature in the novel. So this was the first point of feminism, that Sidwa has made women characters dominant in the novel. Second important point of feminism in the novel is that Sidwa has presented the miserable state of affairs of Lahore of partition time. That what happened to Lahore just after the partition. That after the partition, the worst sufferer of partition were the women of Pakistan, both the Muslim women, Hindu women, and the Sikh women. The Muslim women were gang raped by the Sikh people. The Hindu women were kidnapped and sold in the brothel and prostitute houses. And Sikh women were to some extent safe. So both the Hindu women and the Muslim women were severely exploited. In the novel, as we know, Santa has been kidnapped. She has been sold. She has been made a bar dancer. So these are the exploitations inflicted on women as described in the novel. So a feminist writer always sensitizes the readers by drawing their attention toward the uttered plight of the women character in the novel. And this is what Sidwa has done. Now, make a sketch of Lenny to know the feministic element. Primarily, Lenny is a girl of 8 years, a woman, better to say she is a woman, representing the women world. Lenny is a silent observer. She observes all the evils. Dr. Barocha, who was the family doctor and who has made a number of surgeries on Lenny, once Dr. Barocha says, she is doing fine without school. She doesn't need to become a professor. She will marry, have children, and lead a carefree, happy life. This is the comment of Dr. Barocha on the girl Lenny, that Lenny does not need to be a working woman. She is the daughter of a rich man. She is doing very well in her reading, though she doesn't go to school. When she comes to age, she will marry, she will have children, and she will have a very carefree life. And this is a feministic attitude towards the women of our society. We believe that women's position is very limited in the society. Their only duty is to get married, produce children, and nurture the family. And beyond that, women does not have any role. Sidwa challenges this. Okay, friends, it is already 5. I could not finish what I had prepared. It is very painful. I am sorry. Anyway, if you have any queries on the persons I have covered, you may please ask me. Welcome, friends. Anybody having any query or doubt may ask me, please.
No, sir.
Okay. Uh, Hello,
Thank you,
sir.
sir. Very wonderful way you explained that. We understood very
Okay.
nicely.
So nice of you.
Yeah, thank you very much. We are really blessed with that.
Okay, okay, sir. We shall meet again next time.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Dole Babu, are you present? Okay, let us leave, friends.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Hello.